What did the panel think of Trump's stint as fry cooker at McDonald's? And it's, I already addressed this. It's like they see him differently.
I think it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant.
Yes.
I think when you have somebody who is a world famous superstar, who's a billionaire, et cetera, and they do something you don't expect, it's brilliant media. And I think we got to acknowledge that this guy is beating the pants off of us with these so-called publicity stunts. It gets into everybody's feeds, and people who are not looking at politics will look at that. I think we just have to have more fun ourselves. We were having a great time during the Democratic convention. If we have more fun, if the Democratic Party is a party of fun, people will join it. We should be doing crazy.
Bill Maher isn't one to shy away from tough conversations, and he proved it again during a recent debate that quickly turned heads. In true Maher fashion, he didn't hold back, confronting a guest who took a strongly woke stance that didn't sit well with him. A heated exchange played out on Buzz, where Maher challenged the guest's viewpoint with sharp, persistent questions. The pressure built until the guests, clearly caught off guard, began to walk back their original claims, admitting there were cracks in their argument. Even Van Jones, a veteran political commentator, seemed taken aback by Maher's no-nonsense pushback. The discussion tackled a mix of hot-button issues, but Maher's key focus was calling out what he sees as the double standards and contradictions within some progressive narratives. Instead of accepting broad generalizations, Maher pushed for a more thoughtful, balanced approach. His pointed line of questioning cut through the noise, exposing the flaws in oversimplified talking points. Maher calling this debate a standout moment, an example of how asking the right questions at the right time can shift an entire conversation. Catch the full exchange to see how Maher's fearless questioning turned the tide and made even a confident guest rethink their views right on the spot.
Questions guide his guest to reconsider their stance in real time.
All right, for the panel, what does the panel think of Trump doing Joe Rogan's podcast today, and is it a mistake for Kamala not to do it? Yeah, I think it is a mistake. I think it's a mistake she didn't do this show.
Yeah, did you invite her?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. No, we didn't invite her.
Of course she should.
We would have bumped you for her. I hate to say it. I hate to tell you.
Yeah, I do still time, I hope, and I know she's going to be campaigning in Texas. I hope she does, the podcast. I think the more people see of Kamala Harris, the more they like her. She needs to get out there. I think some of that is a staff reticence that they had because of Joe Biden, which you couldn't put out there. We understand that. You can put her out there. She's terrific. She's likable. She's joyous. She's fun. She's clever. Get her out.
The conversation took a sharp turn when the topic of Donald Trump and Joe Rogan's podcast hit the table. As things unfolded, Bill Maher didn't hold back. He zeroed in on Van Jones, whose increasingly progressive takes struck Maher as disconnected from reality. True to his trademark bluntness, Maher pushed back hard. He called out what he saw as Jones veering too far into ideological territory, challenging him with pointed questions and bold critiques. The tension built until Maher effectively shut down the argument, signaling that, in his view, Jones had crossed into extreme territory.
They're on the waiting list. What did the panel think of Trump's stint as fry cooker at McDonald's? And it's, I already addressed this. It's like they see him differently.
I think it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant.
Yes.
I think when you have somebody who is a world famous superstar, who's a billionaire, et cetera, and they do something you don't expect, it's brilliant media. And I think we got to acknowledge that this guy is beating the pants off of us with these so-called publicity stunts. It gets into everybody's feeds, and people who are not looking at politics will look at that. I think we just have to have more fun ourselves. We were having a great time during the Democratic convention. If we have more fun, if the Democratic Party is a party of fun, people will join it. We should be doing crazy stuff too.
And if I may add one more thing. It's like, don't immediately just go to, I hate him for that.
Yeah.
Which is but everybody I know here in Hollywood does that. And it's like, you're first of all, you look weak. You look weak. You look like you're so easily gotten.
Yes.
You look like you overreact to anything. I think politics comes out of personality. I'm going to do something extensive on this one day, but personalities. Your personality first. I know people who are conservative politically. because I know them. That's just who they are.
Yeah.
They're squares. And that's okay. And there are people who just, like, they think Trump is fun like that. I don't get it, but I don't.
There's a growing sense that the Democratic strategy is wearing thin, not because of bold policy changes or radical ideas, but because the playbook itself feels outdated. Critics say it relies too heavily on outrage, encouraging people to shut down anyone who doesn't align perfectly with the party line. Ironically, if a real wave of resistance rises, it might not be sparked by a traditional authoritarian figure. Instead, it could come in reaction to someone like Kamala Harris. Her polished but pointed approach, while admired by some, seems to rub many the wrong way. To be clear, no one's endorsing anything extreme or violent, but Harris's tone and style seem to provoke a level of frustration that's hard to ignore. For many, she doesn't come off as unifying, but rather as someone whose leadership could unintentionally drive people away and stir up real opposition, not through power grabs, but through personality.
I bet you would have bumped me for Taylor Swift too.
What's this?
You would have bumped me for Taylor Swift.
Oh, and I'm,
Exactly.
of course I would.
Everybody else is turning you down.
I'd bump Kamala for Taylor Swift. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I agree with you.
She's a classy person, and the success she's had, the influence she's had is amazing. I just,
Not your cup of tea.
Nikki Glaser was doing my podcast, and I said, I don't get this, Nikki. You've been to 18 concerts. Tell me. And she's like, the music is so amazing. And she said, just watch the Eras tour. It's a 3-hour thing on Apple, I think. And I did not move the needle at all. This is not great music to me, but that's just me. I don't get her music, and I don't think Trump's jokes about Arnold Palmer's dick are funny, but other people do. It's not relevant.
So for those of us who love Taylor Swift, and I'm a big Swiftie, that is some of the fun that Kamala Harris is bringing into politics. So I did a Swifties for Kamala kickoff in Nevada, where I was just campaigning for her. We got all this energy, exchanging friendship bracelets and having fun. So there's a lot of joy.
Let's be real. When people say they don't find Donald Trump even the slightest bit charming, it's tough to believe. You can disagree with every word that comes out of his mouth, but his larger-than-life personality still grabs attention. There's something undeniably entertaining about his delivery. Like many public figures, you might not align with his views. In fact, they may make you cringe. But that doesn't mean you can't find his mannerisms oddly funny or oddly endearing. Even his critics have to admit there's a certain humor, often unintentional, in the way Trump speaks. It's not about agreeing with him. It's about recognizing that some people simply have a presence that's hard to ignore. And for Trump, that presence is wrapped in a kind of unpredictable charm that continues to captivate, whether people like it or not.
Knock yourself out. I love all the joy and all the everything that, she does great stuff, but, I just don't get the music. All right. What are your thoughts on the Menendez brothers' potential being released on parole, and is it a positive sign for proponents of criminal?
To be honest, I've never been too caught up in the Menendez brothers drama, but the idea of Kamala Harris sitting down for a Joe Rogan interview? Now that would be wild. Lately, Harris has kept a noticeably low profile. Sure, she's popped up at a few smaller rallies, but many of her recent appearances have sparked frustration, especially after incidents like the one where Beyoncé was promoted as attending an event, only for fans to show up and find she wasn't there. It's no surprise that people felt misled. Moves like that have only added to the growing criticism. And with Harris' approval numbers slipping every time she takes center stage, it's starting to feel like she's intentionally staying out of the spotlight. Her public persona can come off as overly polished, some would say over the top, and that seems to turn off more voters than it attracts. On another note, what did you think of Bill Maher's recent sit-down with Van Jones? His comments about Colorado Governor Jared Polis stirred up some chatter, especially since many noticed how much he resembles Tim Walz, both in looks and in tone. Drop your thoughts in the comments and let us know how you felt about that real-time episode. And if you're enjoying the conversation, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next.